the Honorable President, His Excellency the Excellency, the State, Excellency, Happiness and Happiness, His Excellency the Secretary General attended the situation. His heartfelt congratulations to my former colleague, His Excellency Ambassador Volkan Bozkır, who takes over the presidency of the Assembly during this country, and electing His Excellency the Ambassador with a knife in this position, with the support of the vast majority of countries for him. The Ambassador, who is a citizen and the first Turk to hold a position of this size in the United Nations, will be the voice of the international family and its conscience, and I have no doubt that I have a balancer his duties in a fair and transparent manner. -10 and his pluralism adhered to its obligations, and we supported us to combat it at a time when his house today was a program of ineffectiveness, a flower of a number of problems, Islamic cooperation and other platforms. 146 countries are in front of the Renaissance, and 7 international organizations, requests for assistance in the field of medical equipment, in accordance with the old friendly saying in times of trouble, and we carried out rehabilitation and return operations to countries, including the return of more than 100,000 of its citizens from 141 countries to their homes, and taught me the same trips. We carried and returned more than 5,500 foreigners, 67 countries to their homes, diplomacy, the coronavirus, and I did not expect and wait for any section from anywhere to help us and prepare us now and stand in the stand. Medicines develop vaccines without me or far, and any country that will produce vaccines must be available for the benefit of all humankind, and with that the pandemic our witnesses, once again, the extent of the role of the state's capabilities and the good government and the ability to resist. Behind it, Turkey is bombing the mechanisms of good governance that absent, the development of health and human resources. Other examples of if the dynamics of the conflict around the world have increased the place of the tash and the imbalance and the lack of human fire in a chalet via a phone with children's suits, it still poses a threat to the security and stability of the region. The strike is a fight against the organizations. The organization to protect the people. Terrorism is always on the Syrian question by adopting the same. It is against all of this, and this approach is essential. I praise more than 400 Syrian sisters and nearly as well. We are also responding to the needs of nearly in my heart. On his political unity and recognized its exposure and not what this goal will be achieved, and we are determined to those with me or continue to advance to terrorist organizations that intend to threaten national security as well as political unity and the peace of the land in Syria. Today, I do not let it host a greater number of refugees, as it contributes to saving the dignity of all human beings through its sacrifices, but some countries, including European countries, are lean in the United Taliban, to take a firm stand regarding those violations that are taking place, and the Naif Chicken Institute and the international human rights system are attacks launched by the plotters to bring about the coup in Libya, the legitimate industrial government, the legitimate national accord government, other countries, and the tears are 2 violations of grave rights. The collective anti-bound in Turkey was one of our country, which always responded to through a comprehensive dialogue. Communication is the subject of more than 5 on its sovereignty in Asia, when the brother is related to and does not solve the issues, calling now for a comprehensive joint action, a major contribution to achieving regional security. Palestine never for the humanity of a Palestinian case presented against Hala. Washington retracts 3 Palestinian return policy. More than countries you give me United Nations resolutions and international law, but you receive in Jalan, more complex plans through its actions. The side is unfair, and Armenia, which attacked the Azerbaijani lands in the country, is mistakenly once again claiming that it is the major obstacle to achieving lasting peace and stability in southern Kazakh. From Azerbaijan and Georgia, in accordance with the United Nations resolutions, the OSCE Council, whoever upsets you, is essential to achieving stability and peace in South Asia, and they are still a region experiencing a lot of turmoil, and therefore steps must be taken after the special regime. The special situation. More and no, I am the one who solved this problem through dialogue and within the framework of United Nations resolutions. I heard countries in the steppes are doomed to failure, but I cannot do my country in the crescent steppes in the eastern Mediterranean region in and of themselves. On the other hand, the resources of our priorities are to settle disputes through frank and sincere dialogue. Coastal countries in the eastern Mediterranean and the expenses of mass on the other hand. The engineering of controlling the arms race has inflicted nominal damages in recent years from the international community. It must move based on the principles of justice and equality in this context by eliminating all modernization and comprehensive security from other important issues that we must work even though to address and change Almanac we see the effect of human intervention on the balance of nature and what are the foods of God. If that results from that, we must strive for the start of this trend and seek to reverse it as well. In Turkey we support all efforts in this struggle and beggars all our duties and we bear the responsibility. The history of this stage in the past is the conference of the parties to the United Nations Convention to combat fruitful cooperation with many countries and regions in which it came to coincide with the 16th Conference of Biodiversity Countries that will be held in 2022. Ibrahim Islam has all reached levels of concern in the context of many business chain segments, especially my grandmother's hatred of One Piece, which facilitated politics, who on the 15th of March I hear will have repercussions for a raging program of cooperation built at first, and we are your friend, that bank between his prostration on me and African to be held in Turkey is making the next, where I would like to say that we do not support in a strong multilateral stage in this sensitive stage in which it was not planned. We must stand at a distance from the segments, but we must study in our ranks in our joint effort and cooperation. Istanbul is one of the most important cities in the world throughout history to the regional sadness of the United Nations. I wish every success, works of the 75th session, and I congratulate you from the bottom of the heart on behalf of my country. Thank you.